The conspiracy theorizing about Joe Biden being on something at tomorrow night's increasingly critical presidential debate is now a constant in right-wing radio, on right-wing media. And today we are going to take a break from cable news and digital video to go to old-fashioned AM radio, where Sean Hannity, a Fox News propagandist by night and an AM radio propagandist by day, again says with absolutely no evidence that Joe Biden is experimenting with the right dose of whatever. Now, I'm going to play it for you, but the important sort of takeaway that I want you to think about is how the repetition of this story has now led to the wholesale acceptance of it as true by Trump supporters. It started after the State of the Union in any real sense. Oh, he probably was on something because it went so well. It wasn't the normal Joe Biden we would expect. And of course, there was no evidence, and there's still no evidence, but it has been repeated so much. It's been repeated by Congressman Ronnie Jackson and Sean Hannity and people on Fox News and people on Newsmax and everywhere, that if you talk to Trump supporters now at rallies, they go, oh, yeah, well, Biden's on stuff. We know that he will be on something. He's been on stuff before. There's still no evidence, but the repetition makes it true in the minds of MAGA. Here is Hannity.
Is it going to be jacked up, hyper-caffeinated Joe, or is it going to be the cognitive dysfunction that we see every day? And I would say it's probably the latter. I think the odds are pretty high that Dr. Ronnie Jackson is correct, is they're probably experimenting with just the right dose, knowing that they probably overdid it at the State of the Union when he screamed his speech. I mean, he didn't even let the speaker introduce him, and he's screaming his speech and he's reading the teleprompter. He's not going to have a teleprompter here. I know many theories out there that it's Joe Biden is going to have special things put in his. There's no evidence of any of that, and I imagine that there's probably checks for that. Certainly, there are no notes. There's no teleprompter, and Joe still, whether he's on Red Bull or caffeine pills or whatever, still has to perform, and he still has to remember. And he still has to not mumble, bumble, stumble. And he still has to stand for 90 minutes. I mean, think about what's going on here. I mean, hiding out at Camp David for days on end, 7, 8, 9 days, whatever it is, not doing his job as president, just dedicating the entire time to debate prep and maybe the proper dosage of caffeine.
So listen, there is so much nonsense in there. Now, this entire going to Camp David for 10 days thing is wrong. I believe Biden went to Camp David on Friday. So he's ultimately going to be there at the most five days. You can be president at Camp David. Presidents regularly did it. Just because Trump didn't go to Camp David because he had like 5 houses to go to doesn't mean that presidents have not historically gone to Camp David to prepare for big things or for whatever reason. That's really not a big deal. When it comes to the caffeine story, we're going to talk a little more about caffeine later. But when we talk, if they are being honest that at this point they can really only assume it's caffeine and nothing else, Trump reportedly drinks a dozen Diet Cokes a day, which is a crazy amount of caffeine. So if honestly it's just caffeine, there's kind of no story, because the story would be just as much about Trump as it is about Biden. But the truth here is that it's not really about any particular dosage or any particular substance. This is just about repeating it enough and repeating it with confidence, where it goes from speculation in their minds. Understand, it goes from speculation to something they see as likely, to something they see as obvious and definitive, when we still have no evidence whatsoever. And as you probably remember from earlier this week, there are actual doctors who believe that Trump is the one that has regularly been using stimulants. So we'll get back to caffeine in a moment. But briefly, I want to talk a little bit about the way that Donald Trump has been preparing for this debate.